It's late May in Dehradun, capital of India's youngest Himalayan state. At Inspiration, a group of young people with autism have joined an experimental learning program. The program is a 6-day IT workshop. The participants will work under the guidance of a computer scientist. The medium of instruction is both Hindi and English. Saswati Singh has a great deal of experience with the autistic. What kind of problems may we immediately expect at our workshop?
We have a particular problem with our special group of children because they resist any change to routine. So whenever there is any new situation, they can have bizarre behavior and they can react very aggressively or otherwise. So what we generally do is we can prepare the children with social stories and show them photographs of the situation. We can even take them to the venue and we can even show them closed spaces because they are going to be in a room for quite a long time.
The scientist conducting the workshop is Arun Mehta. Although new to autism, Arun has considerable experience with IT and disabilities.
We were first introduced to this field by Professor Stephen Hawking. He spoke to many software companies looking for someone to write his basic access software. That really opened our eyes to the huge opportunity there was in this area. Not just for doing immense good, but also we thought this made a lot of commercial sense.
None of the participants is severely autistic. They are all what is known as high functioning. Extreme aloofness or difficult behavior would not be appropriate for a computer workshop. Apurv is bright, but he's hyperactive and tense. He must cope with the sensory problems that mark autism. He's unable to tolerate the glare of the screen or to touch the keyboard. Massage helps him unwind. In autism, abnormality in sense perceptions affects people differently.
Some of the senses could be hypo, some of the senses could be hyper. So the children are not able to make sense of certain situations. We have been working a lot with occupational therapists and sensory integration, because unless the children are able to overcome this, then even if they could be very intelligent, but we will not be able to work with them because they are not able to overcome the sensory issues. So we have a lot of inputs given with occupational therapy, with behavior therapy, of course, is the underlying one. diet could be one of the ways in which we can minimize the problems that the children have, because any sort of physical problem could lead to behavioral issues also.
Papa?
I want. You write whatever you want to do.
For Vanchita, the computer is already a communication vehicle. She's often facilitated by her parents, but she's capable of typing independently and even passing exams. Vanchita is the only girl in the group, reflecting autism's gender ratio. For reasons yet unknown, 80% of the autistic are males. The problems of autism can be heightened by hormonal changes. Vanchita is coping with the onset of puberty. This can be more difficult for girls than boys. Nima is the eldest of the group and the most outgoing, but he's fidgety and distracted. He's also hampered on the computer by poor reading skills. Harpreet is quite well focused. At school in Delhi, he's worked a good deal on the computer. His teacher has accompanied him to the workshop. Arjit too is here with his teacher. She's already taught him to type on the computer. Arjit has repetitive or compulsive behavior. This generally accompanies autism. Inderjeet is not autistic. He's a slow learner. Inderjeet has joined the workshop to lend a hand. He's also keen to learn computer skills. What has drawn Arun Mehta to working with the autistic?
People like you who have been working in the subject have been asking me about autism and IT for some time, and so this was something that I was interested in, and when I researched it, I was amazed to find how much there was on the subject. To start with, there have been some absolutely brilliant computer scientists who are autistic. We thought that it would be a great idea to see how much of an impact computers can have in the lives of autistic people. If they can start using the computer, perhaps it might be a lot easier for them to communicate through the computer, a medium in which language is controlled, where access is controlled, they can communicate when they feel like, and so on.
Temple Grandin is probably the world's most famous autistic person. She gives insights into the affinity between autism and computers. The first day of the workshop, Arun readies the participants and their computers. He's going to teach them Star Logo, a visual software programming language.
We use Star Logo as a means for trying to introduce people who are autistic to the programming aspect of computers, because this is a language that is extremely simple to learn. It is very graphic, and with very, very few instructions, you can create very sophisticated and very intelligent programs. For example, here is a program. What this allows me to do is to show the relationship between beetles and grass, how if there is a lot of grass, the population of the beetles goes up, but then as the amount of grass decreases, slowly the beetles all begin to die out. And this is only 9 lines of code, and make it graphic quite easily, and it's really quite easy to learn.
Autism is a neurological disorder. Across world borders, it affects all social and economic classes, and statistics show that cases are on the rise. If autism cases are multiplying, what could be the reasons?
The main factor is, I think, even the doctors and others have become much more aware. Awareness has really come up, and the acceptance by parents and the schools also has helped in identifying such cases. According to recent research, the environmental factors are also taken as one of the reasons for autism. It's not only a genetical predisposition or any other factor, because we have a lot of autistic features coming up, and there is a very strong connection between mercury poisoning and autism. The symptoms are very, very similar.
A new day at the workshop begins with a game. There's also a visit from the IT secretary. He throws light on his government's IT strategy.
I think we've just talked to some of the most brilliant people in the sector, like people like Arun Mehta and others, who are actually sitting with the kids and giving them hands-on training. Our strategy of the state is that no sector should be left uncovered by IT, and the priority of this government has been to ensure that the disabled children are brought into the mainstream, and one of the most important ways to do it is by creating opportunities for their economic growth and to ensure that they can live on their own.
Some progress is already discernible by the morning of day 2. Apurv is able to work on the keyboard with the help of Prerna, a volunteer with enormous patience. Today's session includes a screening of the rushes of our film. Autism is often termed autism spectrum disorders, or ASD. This is because it varies widely in the severity of symptoms. There are also different types of autism, but certain symptoms are basic.
They are not able to communicate, and the imaginative play behavior is not there, and the resistance to any change in routine. So these are the 3 basic ones. Some of the children could be very intelligent, and if given the right intervention and right situation, they could really excel in certain angles. And there are children who are very fast at maths. Some children can have these unusual talents. It is not found in the regular kids.
लाल, orange, brown, hara, yellow, green.
The world of the autistic can be painful and lonely. Perhaps the withdrawal into the self is a coping mechanism. Our workshop is turning out to be an up and down business. By the middle of the third day, most of the boys are bored and restless. Vanchita is in distress.
We need to find a lot more interesting, fun things for the kids to do in between the work sessions, which would be very, very short, in fact. So there needs to be, we need to put together a lot of fun software and activities.
It's day 4 of our program, and everyone can breathe freely. A trip to Missouri is planned. Autism is present at birth, or the symptoms can appear by the age of 2 or 3, rarely later. Autistics have a normal lifespan, so they must be given the chance of a productive life.
कौन सा color pattern? Red color.
Resource generation is very, very important. Therefore, the job opportunities that can happen in the IT sector for children who have some disabilities by appropriate training is a priority for the government, and therefore both the social welfare department and the IT department are working very closely with the trusts and with various institutions to ensure that this can be mainstreamed.
During the break in the workshop, Arun has been busy modifying Star logo. He has made it more autism friendly.
Some of the students had very, very basic access issues. Inability to properly click the mouse, that was quite common. That when they clicked, they didn't release the mouse button for a long time. It was a very long click, and that often confused the software. To get them started, what I tried to do was to write a few simple star logo programs that would allow you to do the basic operations without having to type. So there's a slider which allows you to select how many turtles you want. So I select, say, 4 turtles. Then when I click setup, I have 4 turtles. Now I can give them a forward command. So what this allowed my students to do was to get familiar with the basic operations of star logo without having to type forward and some of these complicated words. आज मैं थोड़ा आसान कर दिया है बैठे आप जरा एक बार देख लो पहले एक बार देखो आप इधर आ जाओ
Vanchita seems happier after her break in the hills. Sadly, Arjit is no longer with us. His father has taken him home to the village.
4 sides है या 4 हो तो या 90 होता 4 into 90 is 360 अगर 5 sides है तो यहाँ पे आप 5
In a program of this kind, one also needs to look to the future.
अब इसको आप now if I say draw circles, all it is doing is each turtle is being given a command to move forward 3 steps.
And not only are they training the children, they are also training the trainers so that this entire process does not culminate with just one workshop or with just one seminar, but it should be an ongoing process where it can get internalized and where the state will develop its own competencies.
On the last day of the workshop, It's time to take stock of the progress of the participants and of the lessons learnt from the experiment.
We need to do this workshop in a place with lots of space, perhaps where the kids can easily run outdoors when they feel too confined or when they need to burn off some energy. So we've learned a lot in this workshop fundamentally about how to conduct such a workshop. We've also been extremely encouraged by the progress that the kids made, the amount of concentration that the kids were able to show in working at the tasks, that we gave them on the computer. They would in between ask to do their favorite other tasks on the computer, like maybe just typing in a word processor or painting in paintbrush, but then they would always come back to the programming, and they quite enjoyed it, and they would work until they were quite exhausted actually.
Nima has become considerably more focused. Harpreet shows signs of future promise. He's even given a short newspaper interview. Have our experts been surprised by these results?
I had absolutely no idea what to expect. I'm not entirely surprised. I mean, kids in general react very well to computers if they're properly introduced to them.
The danger of working with computers, that they don't get into this as a habit. So this has to be taken in a very, very slow way as a part of their curriculum, or possibly in their everyday thing, and if it can be brought into this in a slow manner. So there is immense potential, and I'm really amazed.
There is no denying the very, very severe difficulties. Nobody must expect that if you put a computer and an autistic child together, that suddenly some magic is going to happen. Autistic children obviously take a long time to learn any new task. My hope is that in the case of the computer, there isn't that much that they need to learn before they can start having a lot of fun and becoming quite productive through the computer. So that the incentive is then through the task that they are doing, they discover the joy of working with the computer, which so many of us geeks have. Hello.
Yeah,